you want to, if you want to go ahead and do roll call.
Okay. As of this moment, we've got Richard Walker, Joe Bisceglia, Kelly Walker, Nick Brash, and yourself, Beverly. And
Okay.
looks like we have Tom Bear signed in as well.
Excellent. Any media on with us today?
Not at this moment.
Okay, great. Can I ask if everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes for a motion to approve the meetings from Thursday, September the 16th, please? Do I have a mover for the approval of minutes from the 16th?
Sorry, Bev, go ahead. I'll move that.
Thank you, Kelly. Do I have a seconder?
I have an amendment to make on the minutes.
Okay.
The resolution with respect to the allocation of funds for the plaza. It should indicate that we approved the $250,000, but we are yet to determine whether it comes out of the development fund or our other budgetary items. Richard and I couldn't come to an agreement on that, and that was not decided by the board. We'll decide later at a later date.
Okay. So is that a verbiage that we need to modify on that resolution then there, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going back over to those minutes.
One or the other. So we can draft that. Okay, we've made note of the amendment, and we'll modify it and send it back out. Beverly, yourself and Richard first to confirm that it's accurate.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Can we go ahead with moving the or a second mover for the minutes with that amendment?
Richard.
It's like Richard Walker.
Richard, okay. Okay, and I have a notation here that we will not need to go into closed session for anything on today, so everything will be in the open agenda. Do I have a declaration from anyone of pecuniary interests? Okay, so moving on to the financial update, please.
Richard, did you want me to speak to the balance sheet up to September 30th, or is that something that you would want to mention at this point?
No, you can talk about it because I actually don't have it in front of me, sorry.
Okay, so as of September 30th, the board has $657,000 in change in the account. We've got for the remainder of the year, based on the winter marketing, which we're starting to execute right now, we've roughly got about another $70,000 in commitments for the remainder of this year. And we're just in conversations with finance about remaining MAP payments for the end of 2021. So we'll have an update on the timing of those payments at the next meeting.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions with regards to that?
I have a question. What months have we been paid, or what quarters have we been paid the MAP? First half of the season?
That's correct. I think Q3, I've got to double check. It'll either be coming in. I haven't seen it. I mean, it's not included in this balance sheet, but I believe it'll be at our next meeting be included. And then I'm just trying to confirm the date of the potential Q4 payment as well.
Thank you.
Kelly, that's a nice new board member that you've added.
You know, only when I bring out the laptop does she ever come and say hello.
Okay, so if that's everything for the financial update, we'll move into new business and get an update from the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie staff.
Go ahead, I'll let you do it.
Okay, I'll give the update today. Couple great highlights to point out. A lot of it is summarized in the dashboard report. In addition to that, though, just want to let you know that we have submitted the phase 2 application to FedNor for the revitalization fund. That's in reference to the project with Wishart Bridge. So we cleared phase 1 late summer, and now we have our application in for phase 2. This is the point where they now start to do the evaluations and get into the nitty gritty of assessing our project. And we're hoping to hear back from them. We don't have a timeline, but usually these will take a couple of months to get back and forth. So over the next, hopefully before Christmas, we'll have an answer for that project. The Spark Mentorship Program, that's the program that was done in collaboration with the Tourism Innovation Lab, Algoma Country, Destination Northern Ontario, and Tourism Sault Ste. Marie to try and spark interest in new tourism businesses. They received 8 applications for the program, and it's being reviewed right now and narrowed down to a top 5, which will then compete in a pitch style competition for a small business grant. And that will happen in November. The kayak docks are now removed for the season. So the docks down at Pine Street and the ones in Bellevue Marina are now out of commission, and they'll be reactivated in the spring of next year. In reference to the group tours, we did see the completion of the train season. Together, we tallied up 39 buses that came to Sault Ste. Marie for the Agua Canyon tour train. So staff called all of the different hotels and motels to try and come up with that number, and that's what we have reported, which is pretty good for only running a 2-week train season. We did see a high uptick of buses. Coming up on November 1st is the OMCA marketplace, so that's the Ontario Motor Coach Association. So we will have staff doing one-on-one appointments with motor coach operators. Currently, we've been matched with 20 appointments, and there's potentials that may still shake out. So as of November 1st, we will be connecting with those tour groups to look at next year's tour season, highlighting different itineraries focusing on the tour train, Indigenous tourism, Lake Superior Coastal Drive, and winter tourism products. A quick update too for the visitor guide. Ad sales are underway. So Tara has reached out to previous businesses, hotels, motels that have bought ads. And then once we exhaust that list, if there's any room in the visitor guide, she'll reach out to more. We are seeing good uptake of the ad sales. However, we need to kind of move it past the finish line. We have about 50% of our space still available. So if you know of businesses, or if your business is interested in purchasing ads, we need to get to that before mid-November. Through the city, we have the RFP out right now for design and print services. So as of October 26th, that will close. And then we'll be working with our graphic designer to put that together. Travis, did you want to talk quickly about the bike trails?
Sure. Yeah, so we're approximately 2 weeks away from finalizing the construction of the new trails. They've got one more section in the Farmer Lake Trail system to complete, and I'm hoping that will be done by early next week, and then some minor upgrades and just, I guess, best way to term it would be walking through the deficiency list with them, much like you would with any contractor. So just going through what's been built and any small items that need to be tweaked or repaired. So it's looking good. I mean, I think everybody would have seen the Mountain Life article that came out. We did not pay for that article, and it was great to see that we were referenced as Ontario's new mountain bike hub. Especially off of the the background that Stephanie provided last week with the 300 I think it was 330% increase in interest in cycle tourism. So very happy to see that. And fingers crossed, we'll see some increased visitation for that activity next summer.
The only other piece I want to point out, it's in the dashboard report too, but our staff did collect some information on possible bike lockers and bike locker solutions for hotels. If anybody is interested in that for your hotel attraction, etc., just please feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to share that information with you. It's just on different options for bike storage. Like they're like a locker style system. We can share that. The only other update I have is for the mat collection. We're all well aware, but it's worth saying again, August was a pretty stellar month for us. The August collection was $176,322, approximately $2,500 higher than our pre-COVID numbers in 2019. So that's great. We're currently approximately $200,000 away from the total collection in 2020, with still 4 months to go. And we know that September and into mid-October was still very strong for us. So we're in a good position and certainly hoping to surpass our 2020 numbers. We don't have the occupancy reports in yet, so we can't update on that one until the next board meeting.
Okay.
That's it from my end.
Okay. Anything else from you, Travis, with regards to staff updates?
Nothing at this point, but I see Kelly has a question.
Sorry, I wanted to just get a comparison on the buses, the number of buses compared to 2019. Would you happen to have that information, Elena?
I don't have the information at hand. We do know that we lost approximately 10 buses just with the change of the dates with the tour train. So I can do that, Kelly. I can certainly do an analysis of last year to this year for buses. It'll be hard to compare because we only had a 2-week window.
Sorry, I was looking for a comparison back to 2019, just kind of a typical year versus our COVID years. And then as it relates to the bike lockers, I would think majority of the hoteliers would be interested in this information. Is it possible to just send it out and not have people email for the request?
Sure, we can do that. No problem.
That's all I had. Thank you.
I'll make a note, Kelly, and we'll report back with the 2019 versus this year's bus numbers for you.
Thank you.
Can I ask
Okay.
a question?
Go
Right.
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead, Richard.
Can I ask a question? I see we've created a self-guided walking tour for the murals. Has there been any, how would I say, what kind of uptick might we expect from that?
So we haven't put it out publicly yet. It's still being developed. It'll be on our website. What we plan to do is embed it in different itineraries for people that come to town to be able to do the self-guided tour.
I'll maybe just add to that, Richard. We don't see it as a destination driver, but more of a trip enhancer. So just something for people to do if they're in the downtown core and they want to spend a couple hours visiting the murals.
Okay, because in St. Simeon, which is in Georgia, when we went there, they had something similar, but I mean, it was on, and it was a interesting tourist, how would I say, initiative, and it seemed people were going around to various locations. I only just throw that up there. I don't know whether this will get us anywhere or not, but so.
What we've done with the tour, we'll use it in different ways. So there will be a walking tour that speaks to the history of the murals and the context and the inspiration behind why they were created. And then that tour will blend into different downtown opportunities to have visit the outdoor patios and shopping and kind of blend it into both. Yeah. I see Beverly's hand up. I don't know if Beverly can see you or not.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to switch over from my phone. I got my link to work on my computer now. The joys of technology. Okay, if that's everything for the
Right.
staff updates, do we have a recap for the brainstorming session?
I think-
Beverly, it looks
Two
like Kelly has her hand up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Just regarding the tour, the self-guided walking tour, I believe that to be a brilliant idea. I have gone ahead and done that myself with a couple of our visitors, and it's been well received. I would like to suggest that we partner with the Sault Ste. Marie Police and perhaps make a strong recommendation that this or these areas of our community be added to their walk program that they currently have underway. I know that on one of the tours that I had done, there was individuals that were actively using nearby one of the murals. And I just would want to make sure that we are showing our best or putting our best foot forward when we are encouraging people to visit these areas. So just a mention for that.
Thank you.
I have a question with respect to the kayak launches. Any indication of how they were used or the popularity of the two locations?
Yeah, Joe, the one at Bellevue Marina, we don't have exact numbers, but we know in terms of outreach to us that there was significant usage there. And it was also utilized by Thrive Tours. Thrive, it was their first year of operation in Sault Ste. Marie. They're an Indigenous tour operator that were providing interpretive kayak tours. They saw significant bookings this year from outside of the community, and they intend to continue to use that location. We will be over the winter, I think, assessing the location at Bondar Marina. We understand there's some challenges in terms of accessing that because of its location near the fuel pumps and needing somebody there at all times to make sure that fuel is not stolen and monitored. So the hours of operation in that specific location was limited, so we're contemplating relocating that one for next year.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions regarding the staff updates? Okay, Elena, you're going to fill us in some from the brainstorming session?
Yeah, so I think everybody had a chance to maybe catch my email yesterday. We're just waiting on a few submissions yet for board members to report back on their ranking of the different projects. What I plan on doing is taking those sheets and then overlaying them with the information that was collected at our brainstorming session and put up on the board. So what we want to try and do is weave through common threads and see where collective interests lie. I do have quite a few in, enough to give a kind of a high level summary that we're seeing a lot of interest in, the outdoor sports, mountain bike trail, boardwalk improvements showed up a lot, major events, sport hosting, public art, festivals and events. So what we're trying to do is collect those common themes so that we can then look at next steps and different potential projects that fall within those collective themes. So that's what I want to try and do. Once we have everybody's information in, then we can bring it back and we can have a more detailed conversation around potential opportunities within those themes.
Excellent.
So if
Did
I don't have yours, please send it.
anyone have any thoughts after leaving the session the other day? Joe?
Yeah, before the meeting commenced, I don't recall all of the items that were brought up at the brainstorming session and that Elena wrote on the board, so to speak. And I think those items should be on there, not just what was given to us ahead of time. Because I thought those subjects received an awful lot of comments, positive or otherwise. And so we should have the complete list of the items that were covered off at the brainstorming session and that came from the floor, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's Elena's intention, is to compile what came from that brainstorming session along with this information that's come back from the board specific to those sheets and
Right, but
compile
she
it
wants,
into a
she
higher
wants,
level.
she wants us to give them grades as to which one we think are more important. I don't have a list of what we discussed.
Okay, so what I can, you know what I can do, Joe, is I'll send out, I took photographs of all of the information that was put up on the boards. I'll send that out again just as a refresher. And then the ranking sheets as well, just as a reminder. And you're right in the sense that we need to have it all put together, and that is our intent.
Thank you.
When you're sending out the ranking sheets, could you send out so that it's in an Excel rather than so that we can actually, how would I say, it's easier to put it on Excel than to handwrite it and scan it and send it back.
Yes, definitely. I have it in Excel. I'll send it that way.
Okay, yep, thank you.
Did anyone have any further thoughts or ideas from the session that you walked away and went, oh geez, I meant to mention that? No? Okay, 2022 sports and special events presentation. Josh, I'm assuming that's being kicked over to you?
Yes. I think winter's coming. My teeth are legitimately chattering. So hopefully we'll have some outdoor activity in that regard soon. Thank you for the table. I'm just looking for a confirmation that everyone can see the presentation on the screen.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. All right, thank you very much. And I'll just dive in. Actually, I think this is, maybe that's good. Dimensions. Okay. In 2019, the Sports Tourism Canada released the statistics you're seeing on the screen. In brief, these metrics validate that sports tourism can continue to provide massive numbers and dollars to Sault Ste. Marie. Sports tourism is a powerful conduit for the wealth and prosperity of our mat tax and overall community development. Up until 2019, tourism was one of the fastest growing sectors, accounting for 1 in 4 jobs and 10.3% of the global GDP. It's a contributor to SMEs, entrepreneurship, inclusion, supports local culture and natural asset preservation, and develops access to quality infrastructure and more. We know we live in a COVID world. Those trials are going to continue, and none of us are really excited about it as we try to mitigate those risks. But tourism Sault Ste. Marie staff continues to plan into the unknown, pivot when COVID and travel safety comes into play, and when healthcare professionals continue to advise risk mitigation. Just like any franchise, this is a rebuilding year. It gives staff the opportunity to evaluate. As of right now, data is showing the traveler preference and behaviors have shifted to more familiar and predictable regional travel options. Canadians expect the tourism industry to provide sustainable options that equal less travel but longer trips. It's a domestic and regional rebirth. Sports people are anxious to return, but we have to balance that with a careful approach in our relaunch, quote unquote. So as we develop our 2022 calendar, we're staying cognizant of multiple recommendations from the Tourism Economic Recovery Ministerial Task Force that emphasizes safety in everything we do and giving Ontarians an incentive to get out of the home and make new local memories. Additionally, we also know due to the pandemic and social distancing restrictions and protocols, that large-scale events are precarious and not everything we should be aspiring for right now. The goals on the screen are based off trends you just heard and are all happening in tandem with each other in real time with equal focus. You'll see that our focus over the next year plus will be attracting regional and provincial events with 200 and 500 attendees, which is in flux as we keep hearing new announcements of how many people were available and allowed to have in what sort of facility. But what's beneficial to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie is this is already what we do best. The hoteliers, as well as sports and events facilities, are primed for these size gatherings, and we're already experts in this area. Sault Ste. Marie is primed to welcome back visitors due to our low infectious rates, multiple outdoor recreational centers and events, and its marketing that pitches us as an outdoor adventure location. This will be done by coordinating with different sports and events clubs with strong local representation and volunteers. Next, we'll be crafting 4 tentpole events that draw 1,000 guests each quarter that are curated internally by Tourism Sault Ste. Marie. We've identified 4 to 5 events with high potential inside of goal number 2. But for initial pilot years, we have to stay cognizant that it's less about the overall numbers and more about the quality of event and how we're positioning their identity strategically in the event landscape. These event goals take time, and it has to be noted that 1,000 people for those events are likely close to our max capacity. Lastly, our third goal is to identify events with the most significant growth potential that already exists inside of the community and build those events with stakeholders to 500 plus. To continue to replicate past success and grow, we need to be proactive in our hosting strategies. We'll do this by reviewing existing tournaments and sports facilities and help them grow. Continue to bid on regional, provincial, and national tournament championships, and apply to international sports hosting opportunities when applicable. Investing in sports tourism is an essential part of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie's strategy forward as we emerge from the pandemic. 2019 data from Sports Tourism Canada indicates that the highest categorical spending for tournaments were, in this order, accommodations, food and beverages, vehicle costs, sports and recreational activities, and finally, commercial transportation. Sports tourism are easily quantifiable by numbers and dollars, with the above categorical spending showing direct sectoral economic return on investment. We categorize sports tourism events in different buckets, such as regional, which require no help as they rotate throughout Ontario, provincial, which requires a bid process, and we can't land these events without a bid and a local sports club, national, which requires a bid and attracts visitors from all over Canada, and international, which requires a bid and attracts visitors globally. If you look at time equity, the staff, in regards to staff demands for curating events and owning them, being on site, handling logistics, marketing, etc., it's significantly higher than turnkey tournaments organized by provincial bodies with local sports clubs. We're beginning to see the re-emerging of tournaments bidding, and we know that we'll emerge as an attractive host community for many different sports organizations in the near future, and will continue to build a reputation as a safe and exciting community as we adapt and offer innovative approaches to our hosting. Here's a snapshot of events that we've separated into 4 different categories. Internally developed events are events that will be curated over a 5-year period of time by both staff and partners to eventually be handed off completely to the partner organizations. I mentioned earlier, but currently we've targeted the development of 4 to 5 events over a 5-year period of time. This methodology is in line with last week's board strategic planning session, with the understanding that curating signature events take multiple years to develop, market, and become both successful and independent. Additionally, it should be noted that events or components of these events will have to be introduced staggered in different years. Key characteristics of these internally developed events are they should have a business case developed to be revenue generating by year 4, scheduled during shoulder season in the calendar year to attract visitors during low tourism times. We'll need an invested community partner such as grassroots enthusiasts, sports organization or club, or potentially a business sponsor. Next, I'd like to talk about events with growth potential. They're emerging events that could be accelerated with the help of additional product development, are focused or themed on unique topic or activity, already attract 200 plus people, and have a dedicated volunteer base. Events that are under review could mean a myriad of things, whether it'll be reviewing tournaments to enhance overnight stays, making strategic changes to event operations, or to determine if their event has a value from a tourism perspective. Determining where they fit as a tourism driver, or if their event is more suited to a local community festival. Alongside all three of these event categories, we'll continue to look for opportunities to host future sports tournaments, and we'll be adding them to a living document as they make themselves available. We'll continue to monitor U Sports, OFSA, NASA, and other event opportunities as announcements are made. Our overall goal with sporting bids is to have a tournament land every month to have steady sports tourists. But as all of you, I'm sure, are aware, this is going to take some time. Earlier, I touched on the benefits of bidding on sports tournaments, but quickly, I'd like to share key findings from case studies as to why developing internal events are beneficial to municipalities overall. You'll see in the top right-hand corner, we have Bike Maine, which was hosted by the Bicycle Coalition of Maine in Portland with a similar population. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is you'll see their economic impact grew from $235,000 in year one to $448,000 in year three. Tourism is typified in some respect as the experience and consumption of place, for places to achieve distinctiveness and status as a place to go or to be seen. They have to be created. And I think building key tentpole events that internally tourism can own as they're being developed is really important. I think we can agree that the city of Sault Ste. Marie has been hard at work cultivating this status with their brand identity, and signature events would be a great parallel to that identity that we're building. And finally, I do want to make special mention to Blockbuster Events. On the screen, you'll see a list. It's not holistic, but of Blockbuster events that the city of Sault Ste. Marie has hosted in the past. These events need significant lead time to bid on, and also come with a more financial commitment. Our suggestion would be to consider setting aside a percentage of funds year over year to be prepared to make such a commitment. These events are so beneficial, reputationally and economically, by building strong national and international drawing power. These events attract a large number of tourists. They build our reputation for being a proven producer of large-scale events. They have strong economic impact, and in rare cases, there are even legacy opportunities, including enhancements of existing infrastructure or new construction. I think it's important that we have to start planning and being aware of Blockbuster events. Prior to 2019, Sault Ste. Marie had a competitive advantage because of the destination marketing fees and being able to leverage those funds within our bidding packages. And due to the MAT tax, the landscape has changed. Our competitors in Sudbury and Thunder Bay are investing in sports products. Sudbury has a new facility on the horizon, is closer to Southern Ontario. Thunder Bay has announced $3.3 million in funding, and each check that token Northern Ontario box. Our next steps, which will run in tandem to accomplish our strategic goals, will be to attend the 2022 Sports Congress. For those of you who don't know, the Congress is a matchmaking conference with event hosts. Next is to outreach to local sports organizations to, one, update their contact information, two, make them aware of the TDF as well as the event tab on our webpage in order to populate the site and really develop this into a holistic community calendar. And three, discuss opportunities for these clubs to host an event or maybe identify some gaps and help them fill those gaps. Identify potential hosting opportunities via our sports events directory. Launch one internally developed event in 2022. Develop growth plan and budget for the next two internally developed events. meet with event organizers for events with strong growth potential, and finally, develop strategy forward to enhance tourist visits for events with growth potential. It goes without saying that people who are passionate about investing in their community, whether it's Tourism Sault Ste. Marie staff or club organizers or volunteers, are very passionate about the city and are excited to show them off. And I think these tandem goals will help us show Sault Ste. Marie off in the best possible light in different festival events and tournament facets. Thank you, board, very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the update on that, Josh. Couple of questions. I know a few years ago, there had been the sort of meet and greet where you guys, where Tourism Sault Ste. Marie brought all of the sports groups together sort of as a social thing. Is that something that you're potentially looking at doing when you're doing this outreach?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I mean, we're still kind of mitigating COVID circumstances. My first goal, honestly, is to just make a point of contact and update some of these pieces of information, just between the way tourism has moved inside of the city as well as COVID. There's some gaps in those groups. So what I'd really like to do is have a one-on-one to specifically talk about their needs, but overall, I think that would be the next step with these sports clubs. Yes.
Excellent. And the signature events, what is typically the timeline? I noticed that you said launch one internally developed event that's over that 1,000, but typically what kind of timeline are you looking at on those scale of events? They don't happen in a, put together in one quarter.
I think it's fair to say that developing these kind of events that, it makes me think of the Adventure Pass and the signage, that tourism and staff were working on. I think it's very important with those signature events that we're building in tandem with a partner, really be that exact caliber we want to see show up in magazines and not having a gap. So it'll take a minimum of 6 years, 6 months, just to kind of get off the ground, have the growth plan, have the budget, and at the end of the day, about a year. And that's why we need to stagger them as we launch them.
So ideally, come 2023, we'll be looking at potentially 2 of those events.
Yeah, two to three. It kind of depends on these community partners. We've earmarked some great events and some great partners, and those conversations need to move forward and become solidified. I think there's potential to launch that one new event in 2022, and then also have, maybe some hyper micro local pilots or pieces to events we can elevate for marketing material that'll be useful the following year as we launch it full scale.
Awesome. Do we have any other board members that have questions or comments on Josh's presentation?
Yes, thank you. Josh, that was a very good presentation. I like the overview that you put together with respect to your area of involvement with Tourism Sault Ste. Marie. And based upon that, I look forward to you putting some meat on those bones. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thanks very much for that, Josh. We'll move on to the Tourism Development Fund applications that are going to be in front of the board today.
I can speak to that. We have one Tourism Development Fund application for review today. And it's the CSRA Snowcross, the Canadian Snowmobile Race Association Snowcross, scheduled to come to Sault Ste. Marie January 21 to 23rd. 2022, and it's going to be hosted out at the airport at Runway Park. The application that came in, I put it through the evaluation matrix, and what I'd like to do is just go through the matrix and give you the results and a recommendation. The visitor days that were provided were based off of the 2019 event that was hosted in Sault Ste. Marie. In Sault Ste. Marie 2019, they had 712 paid spectators come through the gate and 826 attendees connected through the CSRA circuit. So that includes racers, crew members, and families. They are planning to schedule for the same number for this year. However, as we are moving forward with most events, we're considering a potential reduction. We saw the same thing with NerdCon, who planned for the same number of visitation, and they did see a reduced number just based on vaccine passport requirements and different changes that get implemented between the time of their proposal and the time of their event. So what we're going to do, what I did for the evaluation is I used the lowest end number of potential spectators for the evaluation, not the high end of the range. So for visitor days, I accounted for 800 people over 3 days, which gave us 2,400 visitor days. That's just using the crews that are coming in from out of town. Because as paid spectators at the door, we don't know if those are locals or whatnot. So we evaluate it based on the out of town visitation, not the holistic number that was provided. So if we break that out, it does score on the highest end of visitor days. It gives a score of 20. Out of town participation, it ranked at a 15. The opportunity for growth, although this event does have true opportunity for growth, when it was hosted out at Searchmount in its heyday, it had 5,000 to 7,000 people in attendance. It has shrunk tremendously. So I believe there is an opportunity to regrow it at the right venue with the right marketing. I rated it right now as limited potential based on the fact that we're still in a COVID world and we don't really know what that landscape looks like. So I was cautious on that evaluation. The reach of the event, it scores as national because it is an international event. The economic impact ranked mid-range, around 400,000. The utilization of local attractions and services, it rated high because it uses multiple venues, multiple hotels, restaurants, and the actual race venue itself. So it scores a 10 on that one. And it does fall in a season of interest for us in late January. So it rated a 6 out of 10 on that. The media exposure was international, so it earned 4 points. And the event frequency, because it is an annual event, it rated low. It was just a 1 point for that. And it meets our priority sectors because it does, it fits outside right now and it's in a slow season. So the overall score for the snowcross application ranked at an 81, which would put it at 80 plus, meets the highest level of TDF application. We're putting forward a recommendation, a cautious recommendation at 15,000 as opposed to the full 20, as to give opportunity for this event to grow to meet that threshold. So that is the recommendation on the table, is $15,000 to support the Can-Am Snowcross, January 21 to 23rd.
Can I ask a question? Is the 800 people or participants, where are they coming from?
They mostly Ontario, and there is a component from outside of the province and a very small component outside of the country.
Elena, can you just refresh, was the 2019 event also held at Runway Park?
No, it was not. It was held at the yard under the bridge.
Yard, okay.
Yeah.
So this would be the first year that it's held at Runway then?
Yes, we did. It was scheduled for 2020 and postponed.
Okay.
21 and then now 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Joe has a question, Beverly.
Hey, did you get some information with respect to how they propose to spend the 15,000 in terms of part of their budget?
Yes, I have it in here. 1 minute, I'll pull it up for you.
I'm just curious how much is going to go into marketing and promotion of the event in Northern Ontario, or in terms of trying to bring people in from outside the city of Sault Ste. Marie.
So what they have requested was $6,000 for marketing and advertising, $5,000 to offset the cost of rental fees. This is bearing in mind they were requesting the full 20. So $5,000 for rental fees for the machinery to build the track, security at $1,200, medical team at $3,000, and the announcer at $2,000. So what we would have to do is go through the list of eligible expenses within their budget, which definitely exceeds the 15 that we're looking at, and allot certain amounts in there for their marketing, etc.
What's the total budget based upon what they will take at the gate?
Their total budget, their total operating budget for this event is $9,747, $97,747,
97,000.
97,000, yeah. And it includes, you know, I can quickly go through it, the rental fees, equipment, there's gas expenses, permitting expenses, professional fees, liability insurance, a whole section on that. Food and beverage is low, it's only 1,300. And then the direct event cost, setup, tear down, rooming cost, media cost for announcers, lights, generators, washrooms.
So what are they charging at the door? I'm just curious. At the gate?
I don't have that. I believe it was $12 when I went last time.
Thank you.
When you now talk about that, is how big of an audience can that facility hold?
It's pretty big. They have room for, I mean, they would definitely be able to hold the 800 that they're proposing. In order to grow it out much larger than that, they would probably run into some limitations. What they want to do ideally, what they've shared with me, is they want to bring it back out to Searchmount. But there's some challenges with that, you know, and that'll be a few years before it ever really gets to a meaningful conversation. But that's their end goal, because Searchmount can host the 7,000 that they used to have.
And this, correct me if I'm wrong, Elena, but this is also part of a circuit. So all of the marketing and the exposure goes throughout this entire circuit, correct?
That is correct. That is one of the advantages of this type of event, is they have 7 other events, and the circuit is announced at each event. So we would have exposure throughout the province.
So there's potential spinoff for people that maybe can't attend this event, that their interest is piqued in, hey, what's Sault Ste. Marie got to offer?
I would agree.
Is there anyone else with questions that they want to ask regarding this, or do we want to move into a resolution and vote?
Don't have any questions. I was just going to mention the I believe it was 2019. I do recollect there being quite a bit of traffic coming over from the Michigan side as spectators, and quite a bit of uptake, of course, on our food and beverage outlets as well within the community. So that was nice to see. Yeah, it moving to more of a general location, not downtown versus uptown. All of the hoteliers would benefit just based on what I saw from the last event. Yikes.
Okay. If this is a resolution that we'd like to move forward with, then I can read off a resolution here and we can do a vote. So be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie recommend a $15,000 contribution through the Tourism Development Fund, Conferences and Special Events stream in the support of the CSRA, Canadian Snowmobile Rowers Association, Can-Am Snowcross Race in Sault Ste. Marie, which is slated to be held January 21st to the 23rd of 2022, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Can I have a vote for all in favor?
Need a mover and a seconder.
Oh, sorry, you're right, I do. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that.
You'll move that? Thank you. And a
I'll
seconder?
second that. Second, it's
Kelly?
Kelly.
Thank you. And all in favor? Okay, so resolution passed.
Elena and Travis, can you let us know how they do after and monitor what the response was publicly? And I'd be interested in knowing how much they actually spend on marketing and where they did market, so that we'd have some measure of success or failure, or evaluate the situation for next year. We may
We'll
want
do
to we may want to put more money up front, depending on the results that they have of in 2022.
Certainly on that growth potential there as well.
They are required to do a post-event report, so we'll have that, and I think we'll ensure that we have some tracking of where the attendees are coming from.
Just on a follow-up question on that is, on an outdoor event like this, do they have to collect names of people as a result of COVID protocols or not?
I would think they would have to do contact tracing, not necessarily the proof of vaccination though.
Okay, make sure then they collect postal codes.
Yeah.
You'll have your postal codes, eh, Richard?
That's a key.
Yeah.
Travis, can I ask, what is the timeline for them with regards to how long they have to submit a report? Like, have we seen anything from NerdCon yet, or do they have a stipulation on how long before they have to have that report back to the board?
They do. It's 60 days.
Okay.
And we've just going back and forth in terms of some of the information required from NerdCon, and as well as the conference with the airport as well.
Excellent.
And then, Elena, I don't know if you want to speak in generalities about future events that we're potentially.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the question was, we wanted to look at whether or not there was media on here, because we don't want it announced publicly just yet, but just a really good kind of exciting news to share. And I don't want to, take Josh's steam here, but the OBA bid that was submitted to Ontario Basketball was reviewed by Ontario Basketball. And we had initially bid on top choices, 1, 2, 3, as what we thought would fit and be best suited and give us the best chance of hosting an OBA championship here. And they actually came back to the table to us to offer us not 1, but 2 OBA championship events in May of next year. And they're their top tier events, which means we have an amazing opportunity as a city to host this event. And Josh will be reaching out to the hotels, because we need to extend what we have on the table in terms of hotel availability. We are looking at the U15 boys as a championship event in May, and the U15 girls both in May. Each one of those will bring 50 plus teams. So a massive event for Sault Ste. Marie in May, which is great. So it's confidential right now. We have not signed any paperwork. What we have to do is assess our capacity to host. So we will be reaching out to all of the hotels to see if we can get the number of inventory that we need to be able to pull this off.
Awesome. That is big news.
Mm-hmm. It's
Very
exciting.
Okay, so that brings us to the open discussion portion of the agenda. Does anyone have any other information or new business that they want to bring forward, or? Nick, you've been awfully quiet today.
Oh, because I've been on mute, Bev, sorry. I started first by eating lunch, and then I just, you know how your day goes at the hotel, right? I'm kind of multitasking a little bit, but love the presentation from Josh. Excited about Can-Am. Basketball sounds fantastic. Love the fact that there's going to be strong interest in homegrown events and putting efforts in to keep those growing. I'm very interested to see what, if anything, you guys have in the hopper for your 4 homegrown events that you'd like to put in place per year.
I think we just delay Well, Nick, once we get those little bit more advanced, we'll be happy to share that. And for the local events that are already occurring, where we see growth potential, we'll be reaching out shortly. And we know that you're on our call list. So. Thanks.
Excellent. Is there anything else that someone would like to bring forward before we adjourn the meeting here?
I just want to apologize that I haven't been able to attend. I teach on Thursdays, and my classes are usually off premises somewhere remote, and I don't even have cell service often when I'm teaching. So I managed to convince my class to give me a little bit of break here today. So thanks to my class, but I apologize to the board for my absence in the past.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. And, we can certainly understand those commitments and that you have been in contact with Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, so that's fantastic. What do you teach?
I teach all the fun things you can do in college. So I
and those are remote without cell service?
Some of them, yeah. So last week I was canoeing in Elliott Lake and didn't have cell service. So we were on the water for 4 days. Today I was supposed to be in Deborah, but because it was a rain day, I wasn't able to go. So I was fortunate enough. I had to hold an in-class session, and I was able to end it early.
Fantastic. Excellent. Anything else from the board, or else I would look for a mover to adjourn? Joe? And do we have a seconder? Richard? Okay, all in favor to adjourn today? Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.